Alright, so in this segment we are going to be looking at what are the possible things we can do to prevent a deadlock. So we will be looking at deadlock prevention right now and deadlock avoidance in a future segment. So the difference is anything we see as part of this segment is going to be deadlock prevention, which means if you manage to somehow apply these ideas, you can be 100% sure a deadlock is not going to happen. But there will be a price to pay, which we will see. Whereas if you look at the ideas that we will see during deadlock avoidance, as the name suggests, it will help you avoid a deadlock, but it's not 100% guarantee that you will never have a deadlock. So with that caveat clarified, let's dive into deadlock prevention. So before I discuss prevention per se, I want to remind you that when we were starting these few segments, we looked at something called necessary conditions for a deadlock. So we saw, if I'm not wrong, 4 conditions: mutual exclusion, hold and wait, no preemption, and circular wait. So we saw these 4 conditions, we saw what each of them means, and we understood why only if all 4 of these exist at the same time it is called a deadlock. Even if one of these is not there, it is not a deadlock. There might be a clash, but it's not a deadlock. So if you want to prevent a deadlock and you know that these are the things which lead to a deadlock, the most natural thing to do would be to try to break one of these conditions, right? So you have 4 conditions. Only if all 4 are happening at the same time, we call it a deadlock. So even if you break one of these, it is going to be sufficient to call it not a deadlock anymore, right? So if you want to prevent a deadlock, what you want to do is figure out some way to ensure that one of these things is not happening. As simple as that. So that is what we're going to try to do. We'll see each of these conditions, we'll see how to ensure that this particular condition doesn't happen, and we will also see what is the price we pay for that. Mutual exclusion. So that was the first condition. Now that I'm talking about these conditions, I would like to take this time to encourage you to go back and revisit that segment if you need. Please be very thorough with the definitions of these 4 conditions, what they mean and why they cause a deadlock, why their absence implies non-existence of a deadlock. Please make sure you are familiar with all of that before you proceed with this segment, right? So assuming that is done, mutual exclusion. So we saw that at least one of the resources must be non-shareable. That is this condition's contribution to a deadlock. So if you want to break this condition in order to prevent a deadlock, you make all the resources shareable, as simple as that. So if there is some resource which is non-shareable, meaning at most one person can access that resource at a time, then there is going to be a deadlock for reasons which have been explained in a previous segment. So if you make all resources accessible to multiple people at the same time, then the mutual exclusion condition is not going to be fulfilled, hence there will not be a deadlock. Now see, as long as the resources are read-only, it is fine, because multiple reading processes can read a file at the same time. It is not going to create a problem. We discussed this beforehand. But if the resources are something on which someone might want to write or update, then allowing multiple people to access it at the same time is going to lead to race conditions. Your data might be corrupted, inconsistent, all of that, right? So mutual exclusion, logically what you will do is you will make all the resources shareable, as in you will grant access to multiple people to the same resource at the same time. But it comes at a great cost, the cost of compromising your data. So it's not a good thing to do. We'll see if hold and wait is any better. Right, so the idea with hold and wait is you have one of your necessary resources on hand and you're waiting to get something else. If this is happening, it might lead to a deadlock in combination with the other 3 conditions. So if you don't want hold and wait to ever occur, what you will do is you will tell your processes that you have to have everything you need on hand before you start your work. So you will not take one and then claim for another, and then ask for another and have keep waiting. So you claim all your resources at once then go do what you want to do. So if you want an analogy, it is like saying take everything you need before you step into the exam hall. You will not take one thing, go inside, get the question paper, and then say, okay, I forgot my logbook or calculator or whatever, then go out and take it out of your bag. That kind of a thing. So you need to have everything on hand before you start working. So you claim resources at once in one go, get everything you want, and then you start working. And once you start execution, you will not be allowed to make a claim again. If you do that, then every process will take all that it needs, and then only it will start. Or if some of the necessary materials are being used by some other process, this process will not claim anything at all. So let's say I need my calculator and my stationaries. My stationaries are with me. A calculator my sibling is using to write his exam. Then I will not take my stationaries, go inside, get the question paper, and then say I don't have a calculator. Instead, I will sit there. Of course, in an exam context, this is not possible. You have to write the exam during the exam duration, but like, you get the point. So I'll wait till the calculator has been finished with, till I get it back. Then I'll take my stationery, calculator, everything. Then I'll go inside and I'll attempt my paper. That kind of an idea. Same thing. So a process, if everything it needs is available, it will take everything, go execute. Otherwise, it will not take one thing and then wait for the rest. It will completely, with empty hands, it will sit and wait till everything is available. Then it will take everything and start executing. So sounds like a sensible idea, but we have two problems. One is, when you and I are writing an exam, assuming we have studied, we know what we need for the exam. We know whether we need a calculator, we know whether we need statistical tables or whatever. With a process, it's not like that. You start executing and then you might realize, okay, I am in need of this resource. It is not always possible to predict beforehand, these are the resources which I will need in this quantities. So it's not always possible to get everything beforehand, first thing. Second thing, if at all somehow you manage to predict and take things and come, and then you're keeping them for a long time, someone else is being deprived, right? So going back to the same exam analogy which I was giving, let's say my sibling takes a calculator and he goes to write the exam, and he needs the calculator only in the second half of the exam. So in the first half, the calculator is with him, but he's not using it. It's just sitting there on his table idle. That resource is being wasted. Meanwhile, I am wasting my time not doing my process because I need the calci, but it is not with me. That kind of a thing, right? So one, it's not always possible to predict what resources you need beforehand, and two, claiming everything beforehand and then leaving it unutilized until the actual time when you need it is going to waste the resource, waste time, and all of that. So hold and wait also might not be the best thing to do. I mean, breaking hold and wait might not be the best thing to do.